Marcus Rashford. Oh, glorious! That is a special one.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to everybody around the world. I am your host, Devin, and welcome to Keeping It Real Mondays. With me today, we have got the man, President Chad, and we have got Ashton with us today. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Yeah.
Can't
Good,
complain.
good.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to have to be excited about United playing again at the weekend, international breaks. I know we all don't look forward to them, but you know what? It's almost done. We think we only have one or two more players that are still playing, and then back to United, and hopefully no more injuries to go along with what's happened with this break right now. Fingers crossed for sure. Yeah, so Ashton, how you been keeping busy with this international break so far?
Well, I've been in and out with it. It's only like we're just now there when I see England playing. I check the lineup to see if Rashford either start or in the subs. But because I know he did get injured, they say. But I see he in the subs, so I believe it's not like nothing serious to talk about.
Yes, I saw he just came on actually not too long ago too.
Oh. But I think the game was 1-1. Well, the last time I checked was 1-1. Jack Grealish just scored to level it, so I ain't too sure what's going on there right now.
Yeah, well, it seems VAR has the issues with VAR have also been slowly leaking into the international stage as well too. But I turned it off for Manchester United. More important stuff now. President Chad, what about you?
Boy, sometimes it's be good to take a little break from the football, Um, Manchester has a lot of us suffering heart conditions, with the inconsistent play. So, having a weekend without any, mental or emotional stress was is nice. But at the same time, you just miss it, right? So you can't wait for it to start back.
It's like I try to tell people that I try to be drug free, but I feel like being a United fan is an addiction that you just can't get past. To be very honest, so everybody has their vices, and this is ours.
Yeah,
But
for
I did
sure.
want to, yeah, definitely talking about international break right now. I did want to focus the first part of today's show on the amount of matches that these players are playing and the amount of injuries that you're starting to see because of it. I know that we have spoke about this on previous shows as well. That we've even had players in our side, Rafael Varane, who have come out and basically stated that we are playing way too much, that they're not making decisions correct, and basically they said they want these changes, and FIFA and all the other organizing bodies basically went and added on more matches, more stoppage time, and also we're not allowing the players even to speak to the officials. And now you're starting to see an effect of that because you're seeing players going down left and right. You're seeing a whole bunch of international breaks right now for I mean, somebody explain to me what the purpose of the UEFA Nations League is. I understand World Cup qualifiers, Euro qualifiers, things like that. Okay, no problem at all. Those are international tournaments. I get that. But you keep on adding in all these things as well, and then you're adding more and more tournaments to the players, or the players have to put even more stress on their bodies right now, and you're starting to see the players breaking down. Now I know for now that I think for every player that gets injured while on international duty, FIFA has to pay the clubs. But we all know how FIFA is. And I can only see that going on for so much longer before they try to get rid of that as well too, while probably adding in another tournament on top of that. But just to give some names right now who have gone down during this international break: Erling Holland, Vinicius, Gavi, Marcus Rashford, Andre Onana, and I know that there's others as well too.
Trippier,
So say that again.
Trippier,
Trippier as well too. Jared
Bellingham.
Bowen's Jared Bowen's another one. So yeah, there's just to name a few out there. Gentlemen,
Yeah.
I want to get your takes on this right now. Are these players having a point now? We're saying that there's too many matches going on now.
To me, I watch it as 50-50. Yes, it's a lot of football. But both managers, club and country, had to manage the players better, right? So players who in the reserves and waiting a whole season and can't get even 5 minutes on the field. This is the time where you can actually get them time to play and rest certain players against certain teams or certain competitions, right? Yes, particularly on Gavi. Yes, he's a main man for Spain and for Barca, but it have other players that can actually play and get the same result against certain teams. The the stronger teams, yes, you can play him. The weaker teams, you could give him a little rest because it is a lot of games, both club and country. So to me, it's just a 50-50. It have its good, it have its bad, but it's just that some coaches have favorites, as everybody knows, so they will just continue playing certain players all the time.
Southgate, is that a little dig at Southgate by any chance?
Both Southgate and for Spain. I can't remember Spain coach, but Southgate and Spain.
President Chad, what about you?
Um, you know, it's been difficult to talk about people that are being highly paid and with empathy for a lot of people. Not saying I have it, it's difficult for me, but there are a lot of people, when you start talking about, the players and their struggles and their suffering, people just can't understand. You're talking about suffering. Some of these fellas getting highly paid. The reality is all footballers are not highly paid, right? And, you know, people are people. How much you get paid, your value to your organization, your value to your team, is based on market value. So it is not their fault. So I see all of that to say that the players have, and they have been complaining for a long. I remember Steven Gerrard complaining, and how long he retired, right? Especially during like World
Hmm.
Cup years, how much football they playing, and I think England was seeing a lot of injuries. Rooney had gotten injured just before that World Cup and stuff as well, you know. Um, but we have to be aware that FIFA, UEFA, these bodies interested in money, and you ask about what's the sense of the Nations League? Is to, revenue, right? They will tell you, oh, it's a tier system to make qualifications for Europa easy and whatever, whatever. But the reality is, more football that gets played is more money. Why does FIFA want to water down the World Cup and bring in plenty other teams? No, small countries like Caribbean islands and other countries might think to themselves, yeah, we go in and get better opportunities to make it into the World Cup. But is it really going to make it a better tournament instead of 32 teams having 40, 50, 60, all right, involved? When the reality is, this is supposed to be the best football teams in the world. Clearly, you'll have teams there that just making an appearance, right? It's not the Olympics, right? It's the World Cup. So, but the more teams you have, is the more games, more matches you'll be playing, more revenue, more football revenue. So, these organizations' priority is making money, and the people who have to suffer as a result are the players and their clubs. And it puts the clubs in that position. So, Alex used to tell players sometimes, watch, let your national team know you're injured. Soon as international break came up, certain men was just injured. And when we play our first game, they were back. And sometimes they can't get upset with teams doing that. But then again, look, Arsenal with Jesus. Jesus hasn't played for Arsenal in a little while, right? Yet Brazil called Jesus up and he went. And Arsenal upset with Brazil for that now. My thing is, we upset with Brazil for. Your player should say, watch me, I know coming back from injury, I ain't even play. I ain't even run out the pitch from a club yet. I ain't match with. I will pass this one. But not all players are like that. They go in regardless. Once the national team call them, they go in. And if something was to happen to Jesus there now, who had to fit that bill? Brazil? No, it's Arsenal. So I think players need to also, you know, but I understand. teams like the England team, teams like the Brazil team, where there's a lot of competition, players might feel a need, the French team, right? People might feel they need to, when they get called, they need to go because they mightn't get called again. But the reality is you have to take care of your body. You know what I mean? You have to take care of your body. And when fatigue is a real thing, you're injured because the players are playing too many games. You know, and I don't want to say we're treating them like cattle, but and top players are playing too many games because obviously the national teams want to call their best players. They ain't calling mediocre players. So, what is part of the course? The
Yes,
top
it
players
is.
get paid a lot of money, and you have a lot of demand.
Yeah, I have to agree with everything you said. Yes, getting called up for your country is an honor. It's something that you probably dream about from when you are young, to have the privilege of putting on that shirt and saying your nation over your heart. I don't have any issues with that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do have the issue with is, and you brought it up, you hit the nail on the head, Nations League. Somebody give me a valid reason for the purpose of the Nation League other than to make more money. It's the same thing that I'm gonna argue with the new revamped Club World Cup as well too. That's coming out as well. I think it starts next year, I think. But yeah, so I mean, you're getting called up for qualifiers for, well, it could be the Euros or Copa America, okay, or African Cup of Nations, or the World Cup. Yeah, no problem. Completely understand that. You have the privilege. You have the privilege and the right to play for those tournaments. But these little side things like this that are happening now, no, not a fan of it at all. But I do have to also bring up to another topic that is definitely taking a lot of the headlines Premier League wise. It's not Manchester United related
Just
yet.
just now, Devin, you go there, I just want to touch a little bit on injuries, specifically where United is concerned. I just want to throw this question out there. You know, there are a lot of people that complain about Ten Hag system and Ten Hag style of play, and why we're not seeing the kind of quality that we expect, and this, that, and the other. What are your opinion? Do you all think that injuries, the manager not having his best players available, and even the players that he has available not consistently having the same 11, a regular starting 11 available, do you all think that is affecting United style of play right now?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna. Before you do that, I will read out the list of injuries that we currently have on the side right now.
Yeah.
I'll read out the list of injuries of who is injured from the United side right now.
Currently, right?
Yeah, currently right now. I'll start with ruled out, and then depending on status as well. So ruled out, we've got Casemiro with a thigh injury, Martinez with an ankle injury. We've got Ericsson with a knee injury, Malacia knee injury, Luke Shaw. He is I can't remember which one it was. It was a hip injury, I think it was. Well, you got Ahmad also with a knee injury. Do we count Sancho? Or is that just suspended? Doesn't matter.
No, Sancho just got suspended.
Yeah. So, but now for the ones who are questionable, we've got Hoyland with a thigh injury, Johnny Evans with a thigh injury as well too. Wan-Bissaka has an illness. Onana with whatever injury, a groin, they're not sure, groin or hip injury that he suffered during
I
the
think it was a shoulder. All right. Well, last I read was a shoulder for now.
But yeah, so that is the listing right now of players who are out right now.
I don't think I heard you say Martinez.
Yeah, I did say Martinez with an ankle foot injury. Yeah.
So so talk to me. You all think we you all think how much of an impact as injuries has in our season? Not to make excuses, but how much of an impact you all genuinely think it makes, has made?
I say 50-50 because the list that Devin now called there, how much players that he buy is really injured there. right?
We pull out. Let's see, Malacia, Martinez, offhand.
Critical
That is
as
about,
far as
I check
Martinez
about
goes.
5 players, right?
Yeah, no. Let me go through the list right now. So, Martinez, Hoyland, uh, Onana.
Ericsson,
Well, Erickson
Casemiro.
came before, if I remember correct.
No, we
Well,
brought in Ericsson under Ten Hag.
no, Ten Hag brought in Ericsson with
Oh,
and
okay. So yeah.
Casemiro, right? So it's 5 players he have. Out I
Mhm.
think it's 11 or 12 he brought in, right? So which means that Monk, we ain't see what he really buy Monk for yet.
Correct.
Amrabat come in as a loan. He play 2, 3 different positions already. Regalian come back from injury about 3 weeks ago. We see a little piece of Anthony. What about those players that he brought that not injured or currently in the team? What we gain from them? Is it that yes, we could say injury play a big part, or no, that certain players he bought wasn't able to play to United standard or to the key tactics that he want to play then? We could argue, just like any other team, especially Chelsea, that injuries play a big part in our play. Because we never see he play one starting 11 for 3, 4, 5 games consistent. It always 2, 3, 4, 5 players changing. Week in, week out, he not starting a consistent 11. Even if it's one change he had to make, one change could change a whole connection to our team. One change. And I realized that he not trying to how to play it, boy. Like, yes, yes, you can put a consistent 11 together, but what about if it's the formation you're playing, you cannot get that same consistency with players? That you have to keep making changes towards certain teams. We play I think it's 3 middle team tables back to back. Why have to be changing players for them little middle team tables or bottom league tables teams? Why have to be changing players right through? Yes, if you play Sheffield, you will play a certain 11, but if you play Man City the next week, I expect you to make a change. But if you play Nottingham first, then Sheffield, then this one, and I expecting you to change the same starting 11 when you're playing weaker teams that they expect to win comfortable. So I think it's heat tactics on the whole.
But if you're saying, because you mentioned inside of there that maybe the manager not getting what he want out of the players, that might be a reason he changing. Maybe the players not doing what the manager wants done.
That's a possibility as well too. A next criticism that I have heard as well, and it's something similar to what Ole was guilty of as well too, was the manager seems to be playing favorites. Where it's like there's certain players who could be playing repeatedly over and over and over again, and they could be doing absolute dog, you know what, and they're still getting put in the squad every single week. Cannot figure it out. Meanwhile, there's players that are waiting to go. They're not getting their opportunities. You're seeing, and then you're starting to see those players who are being overused a lot. They're starting to break down. And then it's like this guy, yeah, he come in, he could play well, and you would think, okay, he gets a good run out in the team. The guy originally comes back, is fit. All of a sudden, he's back in the team doing dog, you know what, again too. I will make an exception to that because it seemed as though McTominay had a little run on the side after he was basically. I will argue he probably saved Ten Hag's job earlier this season versus Brentford. But besides that, it's not really. I haven't seen enough with the rotation. I think that's a flaw of Ten Hag's as well too, which is that same thing that we all say Ole had a fault for.
I've heard that argument. I don't know that I necessarily agree with it. I know a lot of people complain that Rashford is one of the people that should have been dropped. My thing is, we started the season with Garnacho. The first 3 games we played Garnacho on the left. We started the season with Garnacho, and Garnacho was not saying anything. Hence the reason why Ten Hag dropped him. So it's not like, okay, Rashford not performing up to scratch. Let me just bring back in Garnacho. That, to me, that's not obvious change. Because not like Garnacho was ripping up trees. Right?
Yeah.
He wasn't ripping up trees at the beginning of the season. No, last couple of games he came in on the bench, he looked good. But at the beginning of the season, when he was starting, it wasn't looking good. So it's not like,
But he's not
so
the only one.
is definitely left. As far as Martial goes, we've had Martial at Manchester United for years. Who of us have confidence in Anthony Martial? Not me. We've seen enough of Martial to know that he's not the answer. So you had to start Højlund. You had to start him. What we going on? We buy him to do what? Right? We buy him to do what? Rest him because he didn't score in the league yet and start Martial? Hell no. Unless he injured, he had to start. We didn't start. I, for one, not starting Martial as the striker. If we start Martial on the left, maybe, but even still. So, yes, people, I think some United supporters just look for excuses, right? We had an argument, we had a genuine argument about favorites with Ole, and now we just quick to jump on, yeah, well, favorites is a thing with Ten Hag. I don't know that to be a fact. The only person to me, sometimes he plays favorites with a little bit is Anthony.
Correct.
Because you have Pellistri on that side. Most of us don't like to see Bruno play on the right, but you could push Bruno up in that position. With Anthony, I don't think it's so much favorites as a matter of you're trying to justify. Remember that so far Anthony is the most expensive player the man buy, right? You had to justify that outlay. There are plenty of teams.
Was Højlund more? I can't remember.
Who?
I thought was Højlund more. I can't remember.
Nah, Anthony is the most expensive player we buy under Ten Hag so far. Right? Teams, not just managers, teams play the most expensive player, regardless. Because that's your most expensive player. You understand?
Not all the time. Not all the time.
No, when I say that, most teams, most times will give your most expensive player a run to justify the price. That is standard across the industry.
You're right.
Right? Most teams will do that. So again, I think it's a little unfair at this stage to say Ten Hag play this way. To me, I think so. I hear people saying it. I don't agree personally.
I find besides Anthony, I have a next favorite. Because
who's that?
Fernandes. Although he didn't bring in Fernandes, I find Fernandes getting favorite plenty because we all see Fernandes have a bad game. But what Donny van de Beek is doing in the squad still, what he doing on the bench. If Fernandes playing a bad game, you work with Van de Beek before. Why are you not using him? And he is not injured. He's 100% fit.
If you know that Bruno Fernandes is fit,
right?
You see Ten Hag put that team sheet, Bruno on the bench, and Donny in the 10. You watch that team sheet and go in that game feeling confident? That what you say?
The reason being, I will say that is that Ten Hag work with Van de Beek and make him look like a world-class player. So I'm not saying that. I ain't saying he better than Bruno, but what I'm saying, if Bruno having 2-3 off games, and you know what Van de Beek could give, why you not playing him? Even though you start Bruno, why you not getting him at 20 minutes?
Well, I could tell you the one that
the one thing I had to say about Bruno
is the one thing I can't figure out is, yes, you mentioned Bruno, but you said Van de Beek, but you didn't mention Mount.
Yeah, well, Mount did say not to play the 10.
We all know Mount start is failure. Mount behind Bruno is failure. We all know that. I just not seeing Van de Beek, and it's not to say like, all right, we know Ten Hag work with Mount before, so he buy Mount and he trying something. You come and you meet Van de Beek day, but you're not working with Van de Beek. Why? Van de Beek start any games in the Premier League this season?
Can't remember, but
I
mean,
don't think so.
but the next argument that I hear with that same one that you're saying is a lot different from the Eredivisie to the Premier League as well. Where Ten Hag is finding out in terms of it could be the aggression of the players, the speed of the players, maybe the quality. Because I know for a fact they're more aggressive in the Premier League than the Eredivisie. I will not. That's not up for argument. Maybe technique could be a little bit different potentially, but yeah, it's just not. He's a technically gifted player, but maybe it's just not up to the physicality of the league. As we've seen, because when he does come on, he does play well, but he does get injured quite a bit too, unfortunately.
Could
My
that could be an
challenge,
argument.
I will just say this, and I know Devin wants to move on. My challenge is it just have more questions than answers with our manager and our style of play this season, right? People could say, "Oh, yeah, favorite." People could say, "Where's the technique?" Manager come out and say, "Don't expect the team to play like Ajax." He would play, it is just watching football, and it just have more questions than answers. Why our strikers not scoring? It just have a lot of questions, and I see a lot of people who have a lot more football knowledge than me, scratching their head watching Manchester United play this season. Right?
But the next,
a lot of more talented.
Well, the next thing, I'm looking this up right now just to confirm this, but even with all these injuries that we have right now, it says something though that we are still only, if I remember correct, 7 points off the lead. I think.
Yeah, 6th place.
Correct. That is a fact. Yeah.
So that does give me a little bit of optimism.
No, I mean a lot of that might be more because
if I remember,
we could still finish second. We could still win the league. We're not out of it.
Yeah, we are. Even with all our injuries, we are still only 7 points off the lead. Manchester City has 28. We got 21.
Yeah.
And that's with no games in hand or anything. Everybody played the same amount of matches as well too.
I mean, points is the most important thing. But if you watch, I think is 2 or 3 teams below us. Them have a goal difference of a plus, and we is minus.
Yeah, I was just about to say that as well too. When you talk about goal differential, when you look at the two teams, Aston Villa, we're sandwiched right between Aston Villa and Newcastle.
Right.
Aston Villa has a goal differential of 12. Newcastle has a goal differential of 14. Our goal differential is -3.
Is it? So
that tells you something right there as well.
So let me just say we tie on points fighting to make it into Champions League next season. You know we do, right?
And what's that?
If we try to make Champions League and we on points with goal difference, you know we go and get 5th place or 6th place, right? We ain't gonna get 4th.
So we have to get it outright.
Yeah, them and them had to start. I don't know if Højlund is just a Champions League player and he's not a Premier League player, but for some reason the man just scoring in Champions League and not in the Prem.
That I have to agree with, but I do believe his chances come. I do believe he just needs one. He just needs one, get his confidence going. And also keep in mind it's when he gets it, watch. It's like you got to get the camel off your back. Which he got, thankfully, Champions League that happened early. If I remember correctly, he's the leading goal scorer in Champions League right now. If I remember that, if I remember correctly, in all Champions League, he's the leading goal scorer.
Yes, with 5. I hear somebody say we get it better off a Rashford on the right this season than on the left. And for some reason, I feel I could get it better off Anthony on the left than on the right this season.
I would like to see more of Pellistri. Because I can't remember which match it was where it was like come second half they had Garnacho and Pellistri on the wings and they were cooking a couple things up there, crosses going in the box. Anybody remember which match that was? I can't remember which one offhand, but it was exciting to watch to see like okay, that could be something good now. Plus the other thing that I want is I want competition for all places as well. I don't want anybody getting complacent at all, thinking their spot is guaranteed.
That match
Meanwhile,
you're talking about was in Nottingham Forest.
and I can't. It was the match where I don't know if it was that one because that match we went down early, correct?
Yeah,
I don't know if it was that one, but I know it was one where he pulled Anthony off at halftime and brought on Palestra, and all of a sudden the game changed completely. But we do have to move on now. We do have to talk about I know it's not Manchester United related. We do have to bring it up. It's the hot topic across all the Premier League right now. Everton's 10-point deduction for breaching the rules. So I will also read out now what it was exactly that Everton did, since everybody pretty much wants to know. Basically, Everton were charged with violating PSR rules for the 3 seasons ending with 21-22. The maximum losses allowed in that period, after allowing for all sorts of adjustments based on COVID impact, youth development, and other costs, was £105 million. And they were at 124. Everton basically said they accounted for certain payments differently and dispute the interpretation of some of the accounting practices, and they were upset about the size of the punishment. However, the Premier League just came down and handed Everton a 10-point deduction. So right now there's a lot of debate with that because Everton is thinking the punishment is too harsh for that. Clubs that were relegated in times when Everton were basically breaking the rules want to file lawsuits against them now. But the big thing, I guess, that how Manchester United fans are thinking right now is, what does that mean for the clubs around us, Manchester City and Chelsea, if they're found guilty of breaching their rules, if the Premier League came down this harsh? Now, naturally, Everton's going to appeal, and everybody's watching this very closely to see what happens, because if this is the precedent right now, what will this mean going forward for the other clubs that have charges now against them?
well, I mean, it's a lot of teams going and be questioning it and coming down on it, especially. I think I'm not too sure, right? I think it's Ole was there when we come second. All the time City facing points deduction and all kind of thing and charges. So suppose that was we time to win a title now. Even when Liverpool comes second. So I mean teams like Liverpool and Tottenham, United, all of them going to be digging up into it and trying to bring back the dead, because to me that done dead and gone, because if you pay for that to be below the rug. You understand? But this just going and make football more corrupt and just ruin the football jet, because what good for one goes for all.
Correct. And President Chad, I'd like to hear from you as well on that.
The problem with this for me is that this has become very political. Let's be honest. Manchester City just win the treble. If you say that the titles they would have won, things they would have achieved, is tainted because they broke rules. Now remember, the UEFA bring them up on charges, and in a way they got slap on the wrist, right? They kind of get off.
Well, you know the reason why for that, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. They kind of get off.
We got to cover it on the show in case anybody doesn't know.
Well, go ahead. Let them know.
So they basically said, this all came out because of a hacker that basically released different emails from multiple clubs, and it was come to find out Manchester City was basically cheating. They were overinflating values of sponsorships and whatnot too. Manchester City's simple argument was this right now: the statute of limitations for filing charges against it had passed. And that's what they appealed with to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and they sided with Man City. So basically they said, it could not have happened, but the time that you could have charged, you didn't do it, so it's done. The Premier League
Yeah,
does
so they
not have
didn't
a
say we
statute of
didn't break
limitations.
the rules. They said the time for you to charge us for breaking the rules passed,
Correct.
right? And
Correct.
it is not a question that City broke rules, right? People are asking, well, why is this taking so long? We hearing about these charges for City from the FA almost a full season now, almost. And we, we're taking long. But I think the reality is we know City have the best lawyers in the game. We know they will try their best to appeal and to fight this. So the FA is doing crossing all their I's, they dotting all their I's and crossing the T's. But when you come and you give Everton, or for very few, what seems like frivolous charges, right? Because Everton is saying, watch, you bring this rule in and you apply it to us, and retroactively it's unfair. And you have City breaking these rules for such a long period of time. People expect you to do something. So the FA and a large fine, it don't matter if it's 100 million, if it's 200 million, that come like a slap on the wrist for City. It could be a mind-boggling figure of a fine. They don't mind paying it because they have money. So, the FA have to do something strong. And teams like City, teams like Chelsea, we're waiting to see. We're waiting to see. But however this goes, if it doesn't go the way we expect it, if City is not hit with some serious penalties, non-financial penalties, I mean points deduction, possibly even title deductions, things like that, I think there's a loud cry of foul and corruption that is going to go up. I don't think, and not just from Manchester United supporters, I mean supporters across the league. Everybody, even people who don't even support the teams in English football, they're going to be like, okay, so Everton get docked on points because they are small fry. You have 115 charges against you and nothing happened to you, or nothing significant happened to you. So
I find they should get the same treatment as Juventus.
Say that again, Ashton.
I find City should get the same treatment as Juventus.
Get relegated, send them to Championship.
Juventus had a few times happen to them. So which one are you referring to?
Remember, it's 115 charges now.
No, I'm saying Juventus
You're
has been
talking about when they got
time. So
when they got
which time with Juventus you referring to?
Relegated?
When they got sent down to the Championship and they got docked 15 points as well.
Yes. And that also worked the way back up.
They also were stripped of titles as well too.
Yep.
I remember that as well too. Depending on, I think it was 2006 time frame. I think that's when that will happen.
I find they should do the same thing with them because 115 charges could never come from one season. That had to come from multiple seasons.
Now the next question then, if they go the route that you're saying, what happens with those titles? Are they just left vacant then?
Well, I didn't follow up on the Juventus one. Whoever they gave the titles to after the strip Juventus.
I think they just vacated it because it would have been too tough to figure that one out. Because then teams that played against them that had lost to them could argue that they should be retroactively awarded those points. It could have cost them European qualification, things like that. So,
it's
a whole thing with that.
It's hard for me to say this, but I think when Liverpool they lost to City by 1 point. Liverpool going up on 20 titles with us, but if they the right thing. I think we lost to City when Ole was there by 2 or 3 points the same way too. We could get a title.
We also lost. Well, remember, these charges go back to as far as 2012, 2013, if I remember correctly.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Whoever deserves it, get them it, because that is the right thing.
I just have a feeling that if they go the route that if they go your route, I just have a feeling that they'll just leave it vacant because it'll just be too much of a headache to figure that out.
I think that may be necessary. Just leave it vacant.
Well, all right. I could be a United fan and cheer for that because that means City ain't going to trouble.
Oh Lord, but as you said, everybody's eyes is going to be on this.
Yeah.
Correct.
Everybody's eyes
Yep.
is on this,
And so, by the
especially
way,
after what happened.
for those in the comments as well, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and be ready for the Rooney shirt giveaway. But we also want to hear from you. What is your opinion on this situation as well, too?
What
Yeah,
what about situation with Benjamin Mendy filing a lawsuit against City for
Well,
bullying?
I guess because it is international break and United hasn't played, I can cover that right now as well too.
So
Essentially, what happened is as soon as Benjamin Mendy was charged back in 2021, I believe it was, Manchester City stopped paying his payments. However, on the ground, on one, so I guess they had a clause in their contract or something like that. Whatever it was, a morality clause, something like that. Long story short, Benjamin Mendy was found not guilty on all counts what he was charged with. He's now playing for another club in France, and he is going after Manchester City for all the unpaid wages during that time. And his contract expired in June, I believe it was. So this is going to get very interesting very fast
yep.
a lot
because
of people,
I could see this really being a very interesting case. Because Manchester City could argue that they were looking out in their best interest and all this stuff. They had to protect the image of the club. But Benjamin can say, well, I was not guilty, so therefore I should still be getting paid the money I was owed. So
Yep.
this is going to be a very interesting case to say the least. I don't know. I can't think in my head which way who to side with on this one.
a lot of people were wondering why we didn't cut Greenwood
Mhm.
when his situation came up. And this right here is exactly why you don't do that. Because until the court process is complete, how do you justify? How can I justify firing you or cutting your wages because you are accused? So if so anybody could just come and accuse you, and that cannot be right. That cannot be
Correct.
right. A lot of,
Mhm.
as much as people were upset with the club, Manchester United handled it the right way. We kept paying Greenwood. We didn't play him, but we kept paying him because now what? The case was true. Now nothing come of it legally. Could have done exactly what Mendy did, and all the sponsors that had stopped paying him when the court matter was thrown out, they rushed to pay him, you know. All the back money, Nike rush and pay him all the back money, everybody, because they understand from a legal perspective, you're liable. If the person was proven guilty, you could say, well, you're protecting your brand. But if they're not guilty or the case get thrown out, what is why people could claim that to being treated unfairly. And I think City, I hope Mendy gets. A matter of fact, they shouldn't even go to court for this. City should deal with this behind closed doors and give the man his money, because it is unfortunate. But as a
I
player, your whole
I,
career
I
has
agree.
been
I agreed because even you after the charges dropped with Greenwood, United launched their own investigation.
and
City
was
never
still
even
paid.
City never
I
even
still
do that.
but the key thing is that Greenwood was still paid the entire time.
You're right, but
Personally, I have a feeling that this is going to turn into a settlement outside of court. It's not
That
going
is
to be
what
for the
should
full.
happen.
It's not going to be for the full amount. I think it'll probably be somewhere. They're probably going to try to offer somewhere around half. That is what I think that they're going to try to go for. And then at that point, it's up to Mendy and his lawyers if they accept that or if they take it to court. But
because it's not just money they rob the man, they rob the man titles and medals.
that too.
You
Robbie
understand?
Man's playing career, nobody, all
Yeah,
we know is he playing in France. I can't even tell you the team. You move from being a World Cup winner, being a regular in the French team, being a regular on a team that winning titles, to being that somebody that people don't even know don't even remember what team you're playing for, and then you wasn't guilty. I mean, come on, that's real losses there.
But
and
Real
then
losses.
this is also why innocent until proven guilty. People need to remember that. And
correct is right.
people need to remember there's a difference from innocent until proven guilty in the court of law versus guilty in the court of public opinion for this very reason.
And then the next thing, besides out of the football, right? they need to start to do something with these females and them who keep doing this. And it's starting to become a regular thing. Because I never you remember, even when Ronaldo did not come at United, it had that with Ronaldo too.
Yes, the allegations were
No, when he
dangerous.
went to Real
Correct.
Madrid is when the woman in the US accused him of rape.
But
Right.
First season at
but
Real
I know
Madrid,
I
when he
know
came.
I know where he was going with that. This is back in 2009, and Ronaldo paid a settlement back then just to leave it out of the court. However, it reemerged when Ronaldo was coming back for the second stint that she wanted more money, and then
Right.
Ronaldo's side was saying that okay, well you just violated the terms of the settlement, NDA now we want the money back, and it was this whole back and forth thing, and then they decided yeah there was never enough to pursue charges. But
No,
Ashton, I hear what you're saying completely with that.
yeah, they had to deal with
I
them females and them. They had to deal with them.
But at the same time, you also have to remember there's a lot of assaults that they could be telling the truth, but because of these women who are lying about it, they're afraid to come forward.
No, it have
So
investigations
and
too.
that's where it gets very tricky with this topic. Because
Yeah,
if you do that and you are truly guilty, you deserve the book thrown at you. But I also
yeah,
believe that if you lie about the allegations, you deserve the same charges thrown at you as well and the same punishment. So it's a very gray area with that one, to say the least. Because if it truly happened to you, you deserve the right to be able to file charges against your abuser
yeah.
and not be subject to guilt trips or whatever from the court of public opinion, just because of what somebody else lied about before.
True.
True. But I'm just sorry for Mendy and look at that even happened to Greenwood and all. Well, I mean, it's two different situations, eh?
Yeah. I mean,
It's two
it
different
happened with
situations.
Neymar as well too. So I get it.
Yeah, so, but boy, I don't know it. But I must say that I'm glad the fella actually playing football again. Hope he reach back to the top level. I don't think France did terminate the contract or anything with the national team. I'm not too sure. But I just hope he start back playing for his country and he reach back to that top level.
What was there? I'm trying to think now. Were there any other big topics that we missed during this international break?
Mm, not really, no. Right now, we're just waiting on Ten Hag's press conference so we can get back in again against
So,
Everton.
well, I mean, this might be a little too early for asking this in the week right now. But do you guys think these charges against Everton will have Everton inspired to come out and put in a performance because they're angry against us?
I
Everton
feel it
should
might shake up the
use,
club.
Everton should use it as something to spark their season forward. Um, that's what they should do. Whether they will do that is questionable because at the same time, Everton was in the relegation zone for the first 10 plus games. And they started playing well and fought their way out of the relegation zone. Now you get 10 points, you're back down inside. It may have the counter effect. It may deflate the club because you will now starting to play good. You now started to get some points. Pickford now start keeping some clean sheets, and then boom, you get a 10-point deduction. So they should try to use it as motivation, but it could be like a shot in the gut, a punch to the gut for them. So we'll have to wait and see.
Well, we shall see.
It
We're
really
getting
no
ready
matter what Everton do, we need to be beating them on the weekend.
Well,
to
boy,
wholeheartedly agree.
it will shake up Everton for one. The players, they will be sad because the other ones are, as I said, Chad does fighting for relegation. So it's like we gotta start back from scratch again. We gotta start to get points. And then the one watchers playing United, I feel we can get 3 points here. Because United ain't looking like United right now. But we should say, well, boy, Everton down in the gutter. This is for we to push them down further and catch length and move forward.
But have you seen our squad have that mentality at all this season?
if the ship sinking, the last person to lead the ship is the captain. So the captain have to lead. And if the captain head bow, the whole team head going on bow. So the captain had to lead right now. But that he ruled. And if he not doing that, I ain't seeing that. And right now, I ain't seeing that from a captain. So that answer your question.
Well, gentlemen, it's definitely been an interesting show today. We've covered a few topics. One thing that I just wanted to point out, I am hoping. Have you guys seen the stats now with Bruno Fernandes and Scott McTominay during these international qualifiers?
No, I ain't see it.
When you get a chance, go look up their stats right now. Where it's like Bruno, I think, has 21 assists in the last 25 games for Portugal, like goals and assists in 25 games for Portugal, and McTominay is 7 and 7 in terms of goals. I am hoping that form that they're on right now with their respective national teams, they bring that back to United, and they show it. They started off come the weekend at Everton, and then midweek at Galatasaray. So before I shut it down now, anybody have anything else they want to add?
Well, we see the best out of McTominay going forward. But the stubborn ball-head man, trust the process. Eric Ten Hag going and play him deep. Because we all know we're not seeing McTominay starting in front of Bruno. And if Anthony fit, we're not seeing Bruno on the right. So we all know McTominay going to play deep, Bruno in the middle, and Anthony on the right. So let me just hope McTominay continue doing what he's doing, because he's been pulling out of some serious times and getting 3 points, getting 1 point. So let me hope we continue with the test.
All I had to say is, winning ugly, playing unattractive and inspiring football is not nice to look at. I just need my team to keep winning. You understand? The attractiveness could come. I rather play and win unattractively than play real good, look real pretty and lose. So right now, let's keep winning United. That is all I need.
Goals win matches.
Definitely 3 points to 3 points. No matter how you get them, 3 points to 3 points. Gentlemen, it's been a great show. I remember, we keep the red flag flying high, because Man United will never die. Take care, everybody.
Shizzy.
Yeah, man.